मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि सरस्वती वंदना प्रस्तुत करने वाले सभी गायक हमारे आयकर परिवार के सदस्य हैं।
I now request Chairman CBDT, Shri Nitin Gupta sir, to welcome the chief guest of this evening, Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, with a sapling, shawl and memento as an expression of our reverence to Honorable Finance Minister.
अब मैं अध्यक्ष महोदय से निवेदन करूंगा कि वो आज के कार्यक्रम के विशिष्ट अतिथि माननीय वित्त राज्य मंत्री श्री पंकज चौधरी जी को पौधा, शॉल और स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट कर उनका स्वागत करें।
Thank you, sir. I now request Member TPS, Srimati Subhashri Anantkrishnan ma'am, to present a sapling, shawl and memento to the Revenue Secretary, Shri Sanjay Malhotra ji, as a mark of our respect and affection.
Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Honorable Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary, Honorable Minister of State of Finance, Shri Sanjay Malhotra, Secretary Revenue, other dignitaries, officers and officials of the Income Tax Department, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar. I extend a warm welcome to all as we celebrate the 164th Income Tax Day. Greetings to everyone present here, members of Aikar Parivar, taxpayers, and other stakeholders. Over the years, our focus has been on enhancing taxpayer services and leveraging technology to drive positive change in tax compliance. I am delighted to share some of the remarkable achievements in the last financial year. Net direct tax collections for the financial year 22-23 at rupees 16.61 lakh crore was significantly higher by 17.67% compared to the preceding year. Surpassing both budget estimates and revised estimates, this is a testament of the hard work put in by our cadre. In the current year also, we are growing almost at 16% over the last year. Over 7.78 crore income tax returns were filed in financial year 22-23, marking an increase of about 6.5% over the previous year. In the current year, more than 4 crore returns have already been filed, and this milestone has been achieved 4 days earlier than in the preceding year. Honorable Ma'am, we are extremely grateful to you for having always supported us. In fact, Honorable FM especially took out time to meet our teams, which had worked very hard during the last e-filing season. Ma'am, your encouraging words really motivated us to keep doing things better. Honorable Ma'am, our focus has been on the 3 R's that you had outlined during the last FM award function, 2 of them being quicker processing of returns and speedy issue of refunds. We have reduced the average processing time for returns to just 16 days. Further, more than 42% returns were processed in just 1 day in the last fiscal. Obviously, quicker processing resulted in quicker issue of refunds. In the last fiscal, refund issued aggregated to rupees 3.07 lakh crores, higher by 37% from the preceding year. In the current year, over 50% of the returns filed have already been processed, and over 80 lakh refunds have been issued in this filing season itself. On the third R outlined by the Honorable FM, which is the expeditious redressal of grievances, we have made extensive efforts. Apart from intense monitoring, we are also handling grievances through our help desk, call centers, social media, and WebEx, etc. Our focus on non-intrusive methods led to implementation of the e-verification scheme. About 68,000 cases were completed in the pilot project. Simultaneously, the updated return functionality was launched, and it empowered taxpayers to update their returns. This is a big step in building trust with the taxpayers and provides a litigation-free environment. The amplification of annual information statement and taxpayer information summary, commonly known as AIS and TIS, has also helped in widening and deepening of the tax base. We have continued to provide better taxpayer services and enhanced transparency. TIN 2.0 was launched to provide faster and newer options of tax payment. Faceless assessment and faceless appeals processes were also strengthened. On the international taxation front, we signed a record number of 95 advance pricing agreements in financial year 22-23. We have also operationalized the benches for advance rulings to enhance tax certainty. Ma'am, we are indebted to you for your continuous support, due to which the setting up of Tax Crime Academy in India for South Asian region and consensus for wider use of treaty exchange tax information could be accomplished as deliverables in the G20 presidency. We have also made efforts to ensure welfare of our personnel by addressing infrastructure-related matters, providing timely promotions, and fostering a gender-inclusive work environment. Many a time, we have requested Honorable Ma'am's indulgence at extremely short timelines when promotions had to be issued, and Ma'am had always gone that extra mile to help us. Thank you, Ma'am. Honorable Ma'am, on behalf of entire cadre, I request for some more indulgence. To grow as a progressive tax administration, not only do we need to augment our infrastructure, but also our human capital. There is shortage of manpower at every level, which is impeding our efforts to give even better results. Quicker approval of our cadre restructuring proposal could be very useful. We also request your continued support for efforts to enhance our technological capacity to deliver better taxpayer services. Our achievements reflect the collective efforts of our officers and officials, and we are determined to work with the same sincerity, dedication, and commitment. None of our achievements could have been possible without the contribution of our taxpayers, tax professionals, and other stakeholders. We deeply appreciate their unwavering support. As we celebrate Income Tax Day in Amrit Kal, we reiterate our commitment to build a robust tax administration that promotes economic growth, best practices, and takes the vision of Honorable Prime Minister of a Viksit Bharat forward. Once again, I welcome you all and thank you for being here with us today. My special gratitude to Honorable Finance Minister and Honorable Minister of State. Jai Hind.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। यह हमारा परम सौभाग्य है कि आज हमारे साथ 1962 बैच के आईआरएस ऑफिसर श्री रविकांत जी जुड़ रहे हैं, जो आयकर विभाग में अपनी बहुमूल्य पारी और उपलब्धियों का अनुभव हमारे साथ साझा करेंगे। श्री रविकांत जी ने 38 वर्षों तक विभाग में परिवर्तन देखा है और कर नीतियों के क्रियान्वयन में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है और खुद को राष्ट्र सेवा के लिए समर्पित किया है। वह वर्ष 2000 में केंद्रीय प्रत्यक्ष कर बोर्ड के चेयरमैन के रूप में विभाग से सेवानिवृत्त हुए हैं।
I request Mr. Siddharth Gupta to escort Sir to the podium.
श्री रविकांत जी।
Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Sitharaman ji, Honorable Minister of State Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, dignitaries on the stage, distinguished guests, members of Income Tax Department, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. The Income Tax Department has had a very long history in the service of the nation. And I have had the privilege of being part of this journey for a long period of 38 years, from 1962 to the year 2000. During this period of 38 years, the department had grown and evolved and has evolved further since 2000 when I left. There is some development which can be measured in quantitative terms. For example, when I joined at Bombay in 1964, there were just 3 commissioners of income tax. There was no post of chief commissioner at that time. And today I am told that there are 11 chief commissioners and 29 commissioners at Bombay. Similarly, the tax collection in 1962 was only rupees 332 crores, while in 2000, when I left the department, it was more than 68,000 crores, and as the chairman just now mentioned, it's a much higher figure now. This expansion and growth in terms of parameters which can be measured quantitatively is very significant, but more significant are the changes which cannot be measured in numerical terms. I refer especially to 2 fields. One is the area of training and one is the introduction of technology. When I joined in 1962, the training college was situated in a part of the MLA's hostel at Nagpur. One wing of this complex was our hostel, while a few rooms constituted the classrooms. In 2000, when I left the department, the training function had already shifted to the NADT at Nagpur, and more than the expansion of the physical infrastructure, the curriculum had expanded with management skills and leadership qualities as important parts of the curriculum. Just recently, I am told that NADT has been presented with the certificate of accreditation at the National Training Conclave by the Honorable Prime Minister. The second important change has been the introduction of technology. In 1962, all returns were paper returns. Every assessment was a scrutiny assessment, and all data was handled manually. By the year 2000, the Directorate of Systems had been set up, and computerization of our processes had made a beginning. Since then, of course, there has been remarkable progress, and modern technology now enables us to handle vast financial data and numerous processes with extreme speed, accuracy, and efficiency. Before I conclude, I would like to say that though many things in the department have changed and are changing, yet our commitment to serve the taxpaying community with fairness, courtesy, and speed has not changed and will never change. I call upon the members of Aikar Parivar, which I consider as my Parivar, to march forward with hope and determination to make India a more prosperous and a more vibrant nation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. I now request Chairman CBDT, Shri Nitin Gupta, sir, to felicitate Shri Ravikant, sir, with a shawl. I request Chairman, sir, to felicitate Shri Ravikant, sir, with a shawl. Thank you, sir. Moving forward, we are delighted to present a captivating short film that highlights the remarkable achievements of the Income Tax Department during the financial year 2022 to 23 and our vision for the path ahead.
इस अमृत काल का आह्वान है, मुक्त मातृभूमि को नवीन प्राण चाहिए, नवीन पर्व के लिए नवीन प्राण चाहिए, मुक्त गीत हो रहा नवीन राग चाहिए, नवीन पर्व के लिए नवीन प्राण चाहिए।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की नवीनता और नवाचार के हर आह्वान को अपनी कार्यप्रणाली की रगों में समाहित कर उन्नत भारत के लक्ष्य की ओर बढ़ता हुआ भारतीय आयकर विभाग आजादी के अमृत काल का एक और वर्ष नई ऊर्जा, नई उपलब्धियों, नए मील के पत्थर और राष्ट्र निर्माण के महान प्रयास में हमारे करदाताओं के साथ नए सिरे से साझेदारी की ओर अग्रसर है आयकर विभाग।
The strong partnership of taxpayers and the Income Tax Department is positively shaping the development of our nation. With the visionary leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister and under the able guidance of the Honorable Union Minister of Finance, the Income Tax Department has spearheaded digital innovations, simplifying the tax compliance process.
Adapting or adoption of technology and efficiently being to put that to use has actually helped in two ways. One, your revenue efficiency, collection efficiency has gone up, and two, people are able to see that there's no discretion which is coming in the way.
Today, our fully online tax system empowers taxpayers to fulfill their obligations with unparalleled ease.
और इसका परिणाम है वित्तीय वर्ष 2022-2023 में रिटर्न की ई फाइलिंग की रिकॉर्ड संख्या 31 मार्च 2023 तक 7 करोड़ 78 लाख ITR दाखिल किए गए, जो कि पिछले वित्तीय वर्ष की तुलना में 6.5% अधिक है। रिफंड इशू करने के उपरांत डायरेक्ट टैक्स कलेक्शन 16,61,000 करोड़ रुपए तक पहुंच गया, जो पिछले वित्तीय वर्ष की तुलना में 17.63% अधिक है। ये बजट अनुमान से लगभग 17% और संशोधित अनुमान से 0.69% अधिक है। रिटर्न प्रोसेसिंग में लगने वाला औसत समय पिछले वर्ष के 26 दिनों की तुलना में इस वर्ष घटकर केवल 16 दिन रह गया। आयकर विभाग ने फाइल की हुई रिटर्न्स की प्रोसेसिंग केवल 1 दिन के भीतर पूरी कर लेने के साथ ITR के प्रतिशत में 100% की उल्लेखनीय वृद्धि हासिल की।
As a result of speedy processing of returns, 80% of refunds were issued within the first 30 days of returns filed, compared to 60% last year.
अनुपालन में और अधिक सुगमता लाई गई। साथ ही आयकर विभाग ने अपडेटेड रिटर्न फंक्शनैलिटी की शुरुआत की। अब तक 34.2 लाख अपडेटेड रिटर्न्स फाइल की जा चुकी हैं।
This resulted in additional tax collection of approximately rupees 3,080 crore. E-verification scheme was started, which provided an opportunity for the taxpayers to correct any misreported information.
इसके अलावा ई-फाइलिंग पोर्टल पर नई कर भुगतान प्रणाली TIN 2.0 भी लॉन्च की गई।
Annual Information Statement (AIS) mobile app was launched, allowing taxpayers to view their annual information statement or taxpayer information summary with their PAN.
फेसलेस असेसमेंट और फेसलेस अपील्स क्रांतिकारी प्रत्यक्ष कर सुधार है।
Over 4 lakh faceless assessments and over 2 lakh faceless appeals have been successfully completed in a fair and impartial manner.
आयकर विभाग की इन उपलब्धियों का उल्लेख भारत की माननीय राष्ट्रपति श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू ने जनवरी 2023 में अपने बजट संबोधन में किया और सराहना भी की। आयकर विभाग द्वारा हरित आयकर की पहल की गई, जिसके तहत विभाग की इमारतों और सार्वजनिक क्षेत्रों में वृक्षारोपण कर पर्यावरण संरक्षण की ओर कदम बढ़ाया गया। करदाताओं के साथ जुड़ना और उनकी शिकायतों का समाधान करना विभाग का सर्वोपरि ध्येय है। इस प्रतिबद्धता के हिस्से के रूप में विभाग ने मई 2023 को पेंडिंग ग्रीवेंसेस के निवारण के लिए समर्पित किया।
ई-फाइलिंग से मेरी रिटर्न फाइलिंग हुई आसान।
Fast processing of returns and prompt issuance of refunds. What a pleasant surprise!
सेक्शन 80 IAC के तहत मेरी स्टार्टअप कंपनी को 3 साल का टैक्स एग्जेम्पशन देने के लिए इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट को a big thank you.
AIS ऐप ने मेरे लिए अपनी एनुअल इंफॉर्मेशन स्टेटमेंट प्राप्त करना और अपनी कर देनदारियों पर अपडेट रहना सुविधाजनक बना दिया है।
Thanks to the Income Tax Department for the prompt redressal of my complaint and for ensuring transparency.
Recognizing the invaluable contribution of its officers and employees, the Income Tax Department worked on several employee welfare initiatives.
आयकर विभाग ने समय पर पदोन्नति, बुनियादी ढांचा परियोजनाओं को अंतिम रूप देने और विभाग के भीतर जेंडर रिलेटेड पहलुओं पर ध्यान देकर अपने कर्मियों के प्रति विभाग की प्रतिबद्धता दिखाई है। आयकर विभाग अपने करदाताओं, आयकर परिवार और स्टेक होल्डर्स को उनके अटूट समर्थन और साझेदारी के लिए हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता है।
इस 164वें आयकर दिवस पर मैं आयकर परिवार के सभी सदस्यों, हमारे सभी करदाताओं और स्टेक होल्डर्स का हार्दिक अभिवादन करता हूं। इस महान राष्ट्र के निर्माण में विभाग के प्रति आपके निरंतर सहयोग हेतु आप सभी को अपनी गहरी कृतज्ञता अभिव्यक्त करता हूं।
This journey of transformation shall continue with the dedicated commitment of the Income Tax Department to make the taxation process easy and convenient.
आइए सबका साथ, सबका विकास की राह पर हम उन्नत भारत के लक्ष्य की ओर बढ़ें।
The Income Tax Department stands at the forefront, consistently surpassing previous benchmarks in direct tax collections year after year. With an unwavering commitment to promote voluntary tax compliance and a progressive tax policy, it not only strengthens the foundation of the government's infrastructure, but also acts as a potent catalyst for societal progress.
कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि हमारे लिए बहुत गर्व का विषय है कि आज हमारे बीच आयकर विभाग के अधिकारी और कर्मचारी हैं जो अपनी अमूल्य यात्रा और अनुभवों को हमारे साथ साझा करना चाहते हैं। इस कड़ी में मैं सबसे पहले आमंत्रित करना चाहता हूं श्री मनीष धामा जी को। मनीष 2013 बैच के आयकर निरीक्षक हैं। मैं उनसे अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो आएं और आयकर विभाग के साथ अपने अनुभव को साझा करें। श्री मनीष जी।
Namaskar to all the esteemed dignitaries, respected seniors, and my dear colleagues. I am Manish Dhama, presently posted in the office of Principal CCIT New Delhi. I joined the Income Tax Department through CGL 2013 and have been working here for more than 8 years. When I joined the department, I initially thought it would be a regular 9-to-5 job. However, it turned out to be much more demanding and enriching. My first posting was in the Directorate of Risk Assessment, where I applied my BTech background and analyzed data effectively. Later, I had the opportunity to work in the investigation wing for 3 years. Working in the investigation wing proved to be the most challenging and exciting phase of my life. Conducting discrete inquiries, searches, surveys, interacting with people from different fields. All this was a crucial part of this posting. It was during this time that I developed good understanding of different types of businesses and professions and learned how to tackle various challenges in the process. Despite the challenges, the satisfaction of contribution to the nation by detecting tax evasion made it all worthwhile. I must acknowledge that I have been very fortunate to have supportive and understanding superiors who kept the environment positive even during the most challenging times. In my experience, just like our nation, Income Tax Department embraces the concept of unity in diversity. Different sections of the department requires different skill sets to perform diverse range of tasks, and this diversity keeps our work life vibrant and exciting. As we celebrate this Income Tax Day, I look ahead and envision a future mutually progressive for me as well as the department, where I can contribute to the best of my ability and create a lasting impact. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Manish. I would now like to request one of the promising and young officers of the department, Ms. Neha Desai, IRS officer of 2020 batch and currently posted as Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax, Circle 1412 Mumbai, to share her experiences gained during her tenure with the department along with her aspirations for the future. I request Mr. Divakar to escort Ms. Neha to the podium.
Namaskar. I am Neha Desai. I belong to the 2020 batch of IRS and I joined my field posting in June 2022. This 1 year has provided me with an opportunity to understand thoroughly the processes and protocols involved in assessment. It was a gradual initiation which familiarized me with the acts and rules therein, the principles of transparency and efficiency being the guiding lights of the assessment process. It was a steep learning curve to understand the business nature and the situations faced by the assessees, but the structure where guidance from an experienced senior was readily available meant that work was made easier in the initial days and matters were taken to their logical conclusion. To understand and analyze the varied aspects of assessment, to correlate the submissions with the information available, and to manage all this work within a very strict time frame has helped me in improving my efficiency and handling stress better. This 1 year has been an exciting experience, one which has shown me the value of resourcefulness and the importance of embracing change in all its forms and nature. I'm filled with hope and excitement for future as I contemplate the opportunities that lie ahead with the department. The prospects of gaining diverse experience within the varied fields within the department excites me, and I eagerly anticipate the chance to further enrich my experience in the years to come. I'm confident that I will make a positive impact and contribute meaningfully to the department's mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. Moving forward, it is my pleasure to request Ms. Gigi Kame, Commissioner of Income Tax, Guwahati, to share her invaluable experiences and insights gained during her tenure with the department. Ma'am is IRS officer of 1994 batch and is Commissioner of Income Tax, Admin and TPS, Northeast Region. Ma'am has played a vital role in consolidation and expansion of infrastructural facilities of the department and spreading awareness about benefits of taxation in a landscape which is mostly exempt from incidence of income tax. I request Mr. Niranjan to escort Ma'am to the podium.
Honorable Finance Minister, Honorable Minister of State for Revenue and Finance, respected Revenue Secretary, respected Chairman CBDT and members of the Central Board of Direct Taxes, respected seniors and colleagues, esteemed taxpayers, friends from the press and media, good evening. Leaps and bounds. That's the summation of the journey which I narrate before the august audience here. Leaps and bounds in the last 28 years of my service in the department. From dealing with just a few 100,000 assessees in a paper-based landscape to managing dozens of millions of taxable entities, employing cutting-edge, high-tech computing and artificial intelligence. The transformation has been complete. A 360-degree paradigm shift, not only in servicing innumerable taxpayers, but also investigating and holding to account tax evaders and launderers of money. The celebration today is about a journey pleasing yet arduous, which has been backed and guided by a dynamic political leadership, a reformation in taxpayer-centric service, which history will remember. I take pride in being a part of the Income Tax Department, which has selflessly served the nation and provided the fuel for realizing the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Finance Minister. Madam, the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is ushering in a patriotic mindset, especially with the generation of the present century. In the northeast of India, we are trying to penetrate deep into a region where most individuals are exempt from direct taxation. The outreach programs with the tagline, NER Converses, have been instrumental in spreading awareness about the benefits of incorporating taxable entities like companies and limited liability partnerships. We are beginning to see ubiquitous shoots of startups and angel investors in the region. This will eventually open the national and global arenas for business for the people of the Northeast. With an increased incorporation and proliferation of these entities, that is companies and LLPs in the Northeast, not only the business opportunities would grow in the region, but it would also lead to general development and increased opportunities and employment. Ladies and gentlemen, the sure-shot outcome of the skyfall of prosperity is stability and peace. That is what we seek to achieve. Thank you. Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद मैम, अपने अनुभव हमारे साथ साझा करने के लिए। आज के इस कार्यक्रम में हमने करदाता समुदाय, उद्यमियों और टैक्स प्रोफेशनल के प्रतिनिधियों के रूप में कुछ वक्ताओं को आमंत्रित किया है। इस कड़ी में मैं सबसे पहले आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगा युवा उद्यमी सुप्रिया पॉल जी को। सुप्रिया जी भारत के अग्रणी रीजनल कंटेंट और अप स्किलिंग प्लेटफॉर्म जोश टॉक्स की सीईओ और सह संस्थापक हैं। उन्हें नीति आयोग द्वारा सम्मानित किया गया है और फोर्ब्स मैगजीन द्वारा 30 अंडर 30 एशिया सूची में शामिल किया गया है। हम इस देश के एक अग्रणी उद्यमी के रूप में उनकी विकास यात्रा में आयकर विभाग के साथ उनके अनुभवों को सुनने के लिए बेहद उत्सुक हैं।
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be here on the occasion of our 164th Income Tax Day. I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to the IT department for inviting me here to share my thoughts. My name is Supriya Paul, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Josh Talks, one of India's largest regional content and upskilling platforms. The work of an entrepreneur and the role of the income tax department, though seemingly distinct, are actually intrinsically linked. Entrepreneurs, much like the department, are architects of our nation's economic progress. I am pleased to see the department's focus to promote inclusivity, accessibility, and open communication, three pillars which actually form cornerstones of any entrepreneurial venture. By fostering trust amongst taxpayers, framing objective rules, and using technology, the department has made tax compliance more seamless and accessible. Inclusivity is promoted through various initiatives like the new tax regime, encouraging businesses across various socioeconomic strata to participate and contribute to the nation's economic progress. Finally, the department's efforts to promote open dialogue and active engagement with taxpayers, seeking their suggestions and feedback, further exemplify a taxpayer-first approach. In our pursuit of a thriving economy and consequently a flourishing entrepreneurial ecosystem, I believe that growth is not limited to a single day, but it's a journey that requires collective action of entrepreneurs, taxpayers, and the department. With that, let's celebrate not just the Income Tax Day today, but every day as a day of economic growth. And once again, I appreciate the outstanding work of the IT department and their contribution to the nation-building progress. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Supriya ji, for sharing your experience with the department. I would now like to invite Mr. Mohit Sahane, the Managing Director and CEO of Finova Capital. Mr. Sahane's belief in the immense potential of financing India's 30 million MSMEs has been the driving force behind his visionary approach, and this has earned him well-deserved recognition with Forbes India magazine featuring him in 2021. We are eagerly looking forward to hearing from Mr. Mohit about his experiences with the Income Tax Department in the growth story of his startup.
Good evening to distinguished guests. First of all, I would like to thank Income Tax Department for giving me this opportunity to address this august gathering. Ma'am, I would like to state that I belong to a middle-class salaried family. No one in our past generations has ever ventured into business. Forget venture, no one has ever even dreamt of being into business. We were raised to dream about getting a good job. Thanks to, I would say, this government's initiative, that not only this mindset got changed, but we were encouraged to take a giant leap and become an employment giver. I am standing before you as a humble and grateful entrepreneur, promoter of Finova Capital. My co-promoter and better half, Sunita, is here with me. We started 7 years back with 1 branch and 4 employees. Today, we have footprints in 14 states, 2,500 employees, 250 branches. And we are NBFC focused on MSME lending to financially excluded people in rural segment. Ma'am, through government initiatives, what we have learned is that differentiation is not enough. You have to disrupt. We have learned that when intent meet content, the spectacular results come. We are thankful to Honorable Finance Minister for setting up Saptarishi guideline in Amrit Kal Mahotsav. We at Finova have mission to impact society in such a fashion that we meet or we adhere to Saptarishi guideline in letter and spirit, ma'am. We are also thankful to Government of India and Income Tax Department for assistance and guidance we have received through simplified or standardized procedures, informative webinars, outreach program to promote entrepreneurship, to promote entrepreneurial spirit with simplified law and compliances. On the occasion of 164th Income Tax Day, I cannot stop myself in highlighting some of those benefits which we have got as an industry. Recently, reforms such as reduction of corporate direct taxes, deduction in respect of generation of generation of new employment through under Section 80JJAA, increase of rebate limit, introduction of new tax regime are some of those benefits which we have got on personal and corporate front. As a startup founder, I am indeed privileged to be part of this dynamic ecosystem, and I pledge my support to Government of India and Income Tax Department in their tireless pursuit for building innovative, inclusive, and prosperous nation. Through this government initiatives, at the end of this address, I would like to say that we have learned, and संभव की सीमा को जानना हो तो असंभव से आगे निकल जाइए. That is what I have learned. Thank you all, and may our motherland continue to prosper. Jai Hind. Thank you, ma'am.
धन्यवाद मोहित जी. अब मैं टैक्स प्रोफेशनल के प्रतिनिधि के रूप में इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ इंडिया के प्रेसिडेंट श्री अनिकेत तलाती जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो आयकर विभाग के साथ अपने अनुभव साझा करें. श्री अनिकेत जी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ इंडिया के भीतर डिजिटल परिवर्तन का नेतृत्व कर रहे हैं और वे सभी स्थायी समितियों के अध्यक्ष भी हैं. श्री अनिकेत तलाती जी.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Finance Minister, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman ji, the Honorable Minister of State, Revenue Secretary, Chairman CBDT, members of the board, senior officers of the Income Tax Department. Let me begin by wishing all of you on behalf of the entire tax professional community and on behalf of the community of chartered accountants, the Vice President Ranjit Agarwal ji and all our Central Council members on the occasion of the 164th anniversary of the Income Tax Day. Madam, this month, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India also celebrated its Foundation Day. And we are in our 75th year of the Institute. And as the country celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it's our pleasure that the profession of chartered accountancy is also celebrating 75 years of trust. Madam, income tax, or the acronym IT, has now moved from what was perceived to be investigative taxation of the yesteryears to intelligent taxation with faceless assessment and appeals and pre-filled forms. And this intelligent taxation is truly now innovative taxation with the new tax regime. And as I see it, it is turning to an inclusive taxation with Vivad Se Vishwas and so many schemes that the Income Tax Department is launching. On behalf of the Institute, Madam, I can only say that we have, in this month, with the support of the publication of Income Tax Department, organized tax clinics across the country to spread awareness about taxation and, of course, increasing the taxpayer base. Madam, we also run what is called a Vittiya Gyan, ICI Ka Abhiyan, which is a finance and tax literacy drive in 12 different vernacular languages across the country. And we are looking forward to partnering with the Income Tax Department and, of course, the Finance Ministry to take this to every nook and corner of the country. Finally, Madam, I will only say and use this opportunity to address all the tax professionals, and especially my chartered accountant colleagues who are listening in to this August gathering and, of course, this event of 164 Income Tax Day. I quote the Honorable Finance Minister, Madam, when you came to the Central Council on the occasion of Vivad Se Vishwas, and you said that you as professionals enjoy, in a way, the delegated responsibility of the sovereign. And therefore, I request all my tax professionals, my chartered accountant brothers and sisters, that let us recommit ourselves to the cause of the nation. As it has been said, that the Income Tax Department will not possibly be able to verify every return or certify every foreign tax remittance it is made. It is our responsibility as tax professionals to be a part in this cause of the nation. Let us all recommit ourselves to this great motherland and make sure that the tax collections which are rising continue to rise, and we play the very important role of being the bridge between taxpayers and the government. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर। आयोजन के अगले क्रम में मैं आप सभी के बीच आमंत्रित करना चाहता हूं विभाग के अधिकारियों और कर्मचारियों को, जो आपके समक्ष आयकर गीत प्रस्तुत करेंगे। इस गीत की रचना विभागीय अधिकारियों द्वारा की गई है तथा राष्ट्रीय प्रत्यक्ष कर अकादमी NADT में प्रत्येक महत्वपूर्ण अवसर पर इसे गाया जाता है। यह आयकर गीत आयकर परिवार की एकजुटता, एकता और अखंडता का प्रतीक है। जोरदार तालियों से उत्साहवर्धन कीजिए विभागीय साथियों का।
The choir of singers is led by Mr. Mukesh Pawar. All the singers in the choir are officers and officials of the department. It is my privilege to now request the Revenue Secretary, Shri Sanjay Malhotra ji, to kindly address the distinguished gathering.
Good evening to everyone. The Honorable Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman ji, the Honorable Union Minister of State for Finance, the Chairman CBDT, dignitaries on the dais, members of both the boards, officers, officials, past, present, of the Income Tax Department, media, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all greet and wish the entire Income Tax Department, the officers, past, present, and also the income tax payers on this Income Tax Day. The Income Tax Department has made tremendous strides. 163 years ago, the tax collection was a mere 30 lakh. I say 30 lakh rupees. You know, I would be wanting to add a crore to it because one has got used to adding those crores, lakh crores, but it was a mere 30 lakh of rupees in 1860, the first fiscal year when the income tax was introduced. And today it is 50 lakh times more, 16.5 lakh crore last year. The journey of the last decade under the visionary leadership of our Prime Minister has been even more spectacular, a 3 times increase in direct taxes from 5.59 lakh crore. The tax buoyancy in each one of the last 6 years, but for the COVID year, has been more than one, and that is more important than just the revenues, how the tax does vis-a-vis the GDP. And the tax to GDP ratio has also improved from 5.6% in 12-13 to more than 6%. And so this has been, on the basis of the increased tax base, the tax collection efficiency that all of you, along with, of course, the compliance measures of our taxpayers, that the tax base has increased from 5.26 in FY14 to more than 9 crore last year. And the taxpayers, the returns that were filed last year, 7.8, more than doubled, in last 9 years from 3.65 crores in the fiscal year 13-14. And this is not all. We have done not only, well in revenues, the department has been consistently paying attention towards taxpayer services, and as the chairperson of the board just mentioned, last year 42% of the returns were done within 24 hours. We got a record number of returns, in one day, 72 lakh, which is in itself a record. And the average, as was mentioned, processing, where we were used to months, waiting for months, for our returns to be processed, just average of 16 days, reduced from 93 days in FY 13-14. And so these are all achievements which the Income Tax Department really needs to be very proud of. I compliment and congratulate each one of you, present and past, for this achievement. And the past, also, we had Shri Ramakantji, our senior from the department. I'm reminded, of what Isaac Newton said, and that is, that I'm able to see further because I'm able to stand on the shoulder of giants. And so here we have today a giant on the shoulders of which this department has stood and has achieved these big, big movements. These extraordinary efforts, again, while they have been achieved, of course, your efforts day in and day out, these big wins are, as I mentioned even earlier, on GST celebrations, that these big wins come, from the small wins, the small achievements that each one of you toil for every hard, whether it is in your work. As we have, some sports persons here, they would have won, I'm sure, Olympic medals, but again, those Olympic medals, those big wins, those big successes they have got are a result of their small wins, their small achievements of each day. And so I urge you all, while, these small wins are important for the big wins, they are important for another reason, because these small wins bring happiness. They bring happiness to us, whether, it is in personal life or at workplace. Achievements, they trigger, the brain circuitry in such a way that they release happy hormones, as you all know. Dopamine, they flush in, and adrenaline in you. And so it is important that we concentrate on these wins. The big wins are going to be far and few, once in a lifetime. Of course, you savor them for a longer time, but these small wins are more frequent. And what they don't have, in size, I think they make up by their large and numerous number. And so while you are at work, I urge you all to create your own list of small works, whether you are you are doing an assessment, do it, timely, whether if you are in as a CIT appeal, what is the number, can I, do 5 appeals or 7 appeals a week, or if you are looking in the TPS, how many grievances can I actually redress in a day? I think these are important, not only from our stakeholders' perspective, but from our own perspective, because these are the small wins which will give us our happiness. And while we spend time, on these, I would also urge you all, of course, we have made tremendous strides, as I mentioned earlier. We do need to focus more and more. While, of course, revenue is important, we need to focus more and more on the taxpayer services. We have automated a number of services. Kudos, to the department, refunds, assessments, payments, appeals. Host number of services are today automated, but we need more and more of IT. Income tax, I think, IT needs more IT. Income tax needs, more of this information technology, and whatever are some few more services which are remaining to be automated. I think this is one area that we can concentrate on, and we can do our IT better. We can improve our taxpayer facilitation through IT. The other area, again, an issue which needs to be addressed is number of appeals. The Honorable Finance Minister has again been emphasizing on grievance redressal. There was a budget announcement. While we are constantly striving to do better each day, I'm sure that these are some of the areas where we will focus our energies in and create those small wins in each of our work sphere. It was heartening to read the other day in the newspapers just a couple of days ago that the ITAT had allowed credit for taxes of the husband on capital gains, taxes paid by inadvertently or mistakenly, paid by the wife. And so it was, while legally, may not be so sustainable, but a practical view, because tax had already been paid. And so I urge you all to take these bold decisions. And while you take these bold decisions, I can assure you that the government will always stand by you. In the end, once again, I extend the whole IT fraternity a very happy IT day. On the GST day, I mentioned about the 3 T's. The 3 T's, being technology, teamwork, and taxpayer services. And on income tax day, the IT day, to the 3 T's, I'm going to add 3 I's. And those are industry, innovation, and integrity in order to make progress in tax revenues, taxpayers, facilitation, and convenience. Thank you. Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद सर। अब मैं आज के कार्यक्रम के विशिष्ट अतिथि माननीय वित्त राज्य मंत्री श्री पंकज चौधरी सर से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो हमारे लिए 2 शब्द कहें और आयकर विभाग के अधिकारियों और कर्मचारियों का मनोबल बढ़ाएं।
मंच पर विराजमान हमारी वित्त मंत्री महोदया, राजस्व सचिव श्री संजय मल्होत्रा जी, अध्यक्ष केंद्रीय प्रत्यक्ष कर बोर्ड श्री नितिन गुप्ता जी, श्रीमती शुभश्री अनंत कृष्णन जी, सदस्य केंद्रीय प्रत्यक्ष कर बोर्ड, यहाँ उपस्थित अन्य समस्त विशिष्ट अतिथिगण, हमारे मीडिया के बंधु, देवियों और सज्जनों, आप सभी को एवं आयकर परिवार के समस्त सदस्यों को हृदय की गहराई से आयकर दिवस की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं और बधाई देता हूं। इतिहास की शुरुआत से अभी तक सदियां बदली हैं, शासन बदले हैं, नई नई व्यवस्थाओं ने अपनी जगह बनाई है। इसी क्रम में निरंतर परिवर्तनशील नियमों के सहारे नित्य नए प्रबंध किए जा रहे हैं, लेकिन भारत द्वारा दिया गया टैक्स का मूल सिद्धांत कभी नहीं बदला। वो मूल सिद्धांत है कि टैक्स जीरो भी नहीं होना चाहिए और इतना ज्यादा भी नहीं होना चाहिए कि आम आदमी को चुभे। आज तक दुनिया के सभी देश इसी सिद्धांत को केंद्र में रखकर टैक्स लगाने की व्यवस्था कर रहे हैं। इसलिए आज आयकर दिवस पर एक भारतीय होने के नाते मुझे गर्व है कि भारत ने दुनिया को आयकर का सिद्धांत दिया और इसके साथ ही कर की पूरी व्यवस्था दी। अपने भारतीय होने पर आज मुझे इसलिए भी गर्व है कि हमें नेतृत्व के रूप में ऐसे युगदृष्टा नायक प्राप्त हुए हैं जिन्होंने अपनी दूरदर्शिता सोच के सहारे पूरे देश को नई दिशा दी है और निरंतर दे रहे हैं। माननीय वित्त मंत्री के रूप में आपने अर्थव्यवस्था को जब से अपने मजबूत कंधों पर उठाया है, कोविड आए, सप्लाई चेन की समस्या हो, दुनिया में कहीं पे भी युद्ध होता हो, तनाव हो, कुछ भी हो, लेकिन भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था की छलांग रुकी नहीं है। इतनी तेज गति से बढ़ती अर्थव्यवस्था को देखकर आज दुनिया भी हैरान है। इनकम टैक्स अपने आप में एक बड़ा भारी शब्द है और मैं निश्चित रूप से कह सकता हूं कि आम बोलचाल में यह बड़ा अच्छा शब्द नहीं माना जाता था। कम से कम कुछ समय पहले तक तो ऐसा ही स्थिति थी। आमजन की धारणा थी कि इस डिपार्टमेंट से जिंदगी में जितनी दूर रहे उतना ही अच्छा होगा। मैं इसे ही विदुष्ट नेतृत्व कह रहा हूं कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक फेसलेस शुरुआत करके ये आम धारणा बदल दी, लोगों की सोच बदल दी। जबकि हम सभी जानते हैं कि चाहे कानून बना दो, प्रचार कर लो, कितना भी समझ लो, कुछ भी कर लो, परंतु लोगों की जो सोच होती है वो बदलती नहीं है। यही हमारे प्रधानमंत्री, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की चमत्कारी नेतृत्व है कि ऐसा काम कर देते हैं कि लोगों को सोच बदल जाती है। फेसलेस के बाद निष्पक्ष और पारदर्शिता रूप में काम करने से लोगों के मन में पूरे इनकम टैक्स परिवार के प्रति इज्जत बढ़ी है। आप सभी बधाई और धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं कि आप सभी ने जी जान से मेहनत कर इस नई व्यवस्था को सफल बनाया। कुछ छोटी छोटी सी तकनीकी समस्या बची हैं, लेकिन आप सभी की काबिलियत और नेक नियत पर मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि आप इन छोटी समस्याओं को हल ढूंढ लेंगे। आप सभी लोग इसलिए भी बधाई के पात्र हैं कि आप सभी ने इनकम टैक्स की तस्वीर बदल दी। आज विभाग लोगों को इतने प्यार से समझा रहा है, हर कदम पर हर तरह से उनकी मदद कर रहा है। एक बार को विश्वास नहीं हो रहा है। अच्छा बताइए, इससे ज्यादा और विभाग क्या कर सकता है कि रिटर्न फाइल करते समय ही आप एआईएस पर आप पहले से ही दिखा देते हैं कि कुछ भूल गए हो तो देखकर भर लीजिए। उसके बाद भी मौका देता है कि कुछ चूक फिर भी हो गई हो तो आप ई वेरिफिकेशन से फिर से उन्हें आगाह करते हैं। करदाता यदि सहमत हो तो कहीं ना कहीं अपनी भूल सुधारने के लिए अपडेट रिटर्न 20 2 साल तक भर सकता है। विभाग द्वारा तमाम प्रचार माध्यमों से और बार बार SMS से रिमाइंड कराया जाता है कि कोई अनुपालन की डेट भूल ना जाया हो, फिर भी कुछ लोग अनजाने चूक कर देते हैं। तो उसके बाद भी सारी प्रक्रिया ऑनलाइन, फेसलेस और इस तरह निष्पक्ष पारदर्शिता बना दी गई है। हर तरह के लोग हर जगह होते हैं, लेकिन हमारे युगदृष्टा नेतृत्व ने जो अवसर दिया, आप सभी ने उस अवसर के अनुरूप खड़े होकर दिखाया। आप सभी ने यह साबित किया कि हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का विश्वास पूर्णतः सही था। आप सभी के सामने मुश्किलें कम नहीं थी। पूरी की पूरी व्यवस्था नहीं बनानी थी। कुछ की पसंद, कुछ की नापसंद, कुछ का विरोध, जनता की आकांक्षा और इन सभी दबाव के बीच तब के निखरना था। सब कुछ नया होना था और सब कुछ सही होना था। पर आप लोगों ने भी हार नहीं मानी। सभी चुनौतियों को एक एक करके सामना किया और इतिहास बना दिया। और ऐसा वैसा नहीं, स्वर्णिम अक्षरों में लिखा हुआ सुनहरा इतिहास। मैं इसे सुनहरा इतिहास इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि एक तरफ जहां आपने लोगों की आकांक्षाओं को पूरा किया, कर व्यवस्था को टैक्स पेयर फ्रेंडली बनाया, वहीं अपने नेतृत्व को भी आप पर नाच करने का मौका दिया। आपके प्रदर्शन की सारी बातें, सारे आंकड़े गिनाए जा चुके हैं, मैं उनको दोहराऊंगा नहीं, लेकिन इतना जरूर कहूंगा कि परिवर्तन के इस चुनौतीपूर्ण समय में और इसके बाद भी अभी तक आपने देश के लिए सबसे ज्यादा संग्रह करने वाले, सबसे ज्यादा संसाधन देने वाले विभाग की अपनी भूमिका बरकरार रखी है। मैं आपको माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की ओर से यह विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि आप द्वारा इतनी मेहनत से इकट्ठा किए गए एक एक पैसे का पूरी तरह से सदुपयोग हो रहा है। हाल ही में उदाहरण के तौर पर अगर आप देखें कि जहां पर इस देश में एक सोच थी कि जो भारत सरकार से पैसा चलता है उसका कुछ हिस्सा ही पहुंच पाता है, लेकिन आज कहीं ना कहीं जो भारत सरकार से जो और भी हमारे तमाम टैक्स कलेक्ट होते हैं, आज कहीं ना कहीं 29 लाख करोड़ रुपया डीबीटी के माध्यम से डायरेक्ट जनता के पास पहुंचाने का काम हमारी सरकार ने किया है। मेरी शुभकामना है कि आप सभी इसी तरह आगे बढ़ते रहें। मैं उस दिन की कामना कर रहा हूं कि जब टैक्स देना और रिटर्न भरना यूपीआई के ट्रांजैक्शन की तरह आसान और सब सुलभ हो जाएगा। मुझे विश्वास है कि आप जल्द ही हम सबको वो दिन दिखाएंगे। आप सभी को आज के दिन एक बार पुनः मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
माननीय वित्त राज्य मंत्री महोदय, आपका बहुत बहुत आभार।
In recognition of the exceptional achievements by the officers and officials of the Income Tax Department in the field of sports, it is with immense pride and honor that we now request the Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, to present the Certificate of Appreciation to officers and officials of the department.
इस क्रम में मैं सबसे पहले बुलाना चाहूंगा एशियन बॉक्सिंग कॉन्फेडरेशन 2022 की स्वर्ण पदक विजेता सबिटी बूरा जी को। आयकर विभाग में आयकर अधिकारी के पद पर कार्यरत सबिटी बूरा जी बॉक्सिंग के क्षेत्र में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर एक जाना पहचाना नाम है। अब मैं आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगा श्री नारायण ठाकुर जी को। वह इंडोनेशिया में 2018 में आयोजित पैरा एथलेटिक्स प्रतियोगिता में एशियन गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट रहे हैं।
I would now like to invite Mr. Sagar Katrude, MTS Mumbai. He has won various international and national competitions in bodybuilding. Mr. Sagar has secured the prestigious title of Mr. World not once but twice in both 2019 and 2022.
अब मैं बुलाना चाहूंगा बास्केटबॉल खिलाड़ी और आयकर विभाग चेन्नई में आयकर निरीक्षक श्री अरविंद अन्नादुरई जी को। श्री अरविंद विभिन्न राष्ट्रीय व अंतर्राष्ट्रीय प्रतियोगिताओं में स्वर्ण पदक जीत चुके हैं।
I would now like to invite Ms. Ekta Vishnoi, Commissioner of Income Tax. Ma'am is an officer of the 1999 batch and is at deputation at Sports Authority of India and currently leading Fit India movement as Mission Director. Ma'am has won gold medal in Asian Bench Press Championship in 2018 and Asian Powerlifting Championship in 2019. Recently, she won Classic Powerlifting Championship 2022 at Auckland, New Zealand and won silver medal in 57 kg in Master 1 and 2 gold medals in squat and deadlift. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Deepika Dhiman, Senior Tax Assistant, Delhi. She has won a gold and a silver medal in the 6th Elite International Open 2022 Karate Championship. Thank you, ma'am. As we stand here today, surrounded by achievements and inspirations, it is my privilege to extend a warm invitation to the Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, to address this esteemed gathering. On this momentous occasion, we eagerly look forward, ma'am, to hearing your words of wisdom, guidance, and inspiration.
Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra ji, Chairman CBDT, members of the CBDT, former Chairman CBDT, and former members of the CBDT, members of the CBIC, the Chairman of CBIC, officers of the IRS, assessees, tax assessees who are here on invitation, and the media. First, let me greet you all on this 164th Income Tax Day. It's not really very often that we have government departments or boards or any such institutions who have crossed 150 and who are prim and proper even today. So CBDT, you deserve all the praise for it. I make a particular mention of thanks for the former chairman of the CBDT, Sri Ravikantji, who came here, addressed us. Again, it's not very often that we do have former members of the fraternity to come enthusiastically to address the peer group or the juniors, and to keep them motivated. We are indeed very grateful to you for your presence. I'll start with something where both the Revenue Secretary and also the Chairman referred to my last year's comments. I think there, like many times I do instantaneously, I did say about the 3 Rs. And it's very humbling to know that the CBDT took it very seriously, worked on it, because at that time the voice was the assessee feeling that the returns are not getting assessed soon, filing is a problem, and then the refunds don't come, and redressal of grievances are not really happening to the satisfaction of the assessees. But between last year and this year, Chairman Nitin Gupta, let me put it on record, you have put in a lot of effort together with your team. As a result of which, there's definitely a different perception today, and there's always room to improve. I'm not saying everything has really become perfect, and I'm sure the board and the entire IRS is seized of this point that there's always room to change and improve. But immensely satisfying to know that the board and the service has taken these 3 R's seriously and improved on it. But these 3 R's, let me put it before you, are not just 1 year. They are continuous process. They are always going to be lingering in the minds of the assessee. So you've done well for 1 year, you've set yourself a high benchmark, now you have to follow it up every year. So the task is for you to take it up further. Very often, and I don't blame the assessees at all, very often the feeling is tax frightens me. Honorable MOS very clearly said it in his rich Hindi that, it's not always easy to be the most liked person if you're working in the revenue service and particularly in the income tax. CBIC gets away easily in that. So the expectations on this CBDT is far higher than what the people expect out of CBIC. So that way, it is more difficult for the income tax officers to prove that they are doing an honest day's work, they are in the service of the nation. If revenue improves, services of the government improves, welfare schemes get their due, and the country flourishes better. And therefore, a certain level of detachment is absolutely required for the income tax officers. I don't blame them. But yet, I also want to say that in the last 3-4 years, to the credit of the CBDT, tax rates did not go up, but revenue is steadily going up. Evasion is being controlled. And I'll get into the details of why I would be generous in my praise of the CBDT today. But I'll come to that a bit later. The most important thing that tax and tax-related matters always call for is to be transparent, is to be very objective, don't allow any subjectivity to come into it, and be taxpayer friendly. And that is where I think I begin my talk to you today. I'll end it there as well. Inclusive of the minister to the last employee, the newest employee, it is this department which has a very tall order. You are going to have to be uncompromising in generating the resources. You are going to have to somehow make sure the revenue expectations are met. This year, much more than the BE, much more than the RE, you have shown that you're capable of collecting, and appreciations on that. But it is that which is becoming a very important task, as much as managing the perception about how we get that resources. And in that, I want to say that the government has not brought in any increase in the rates. So if the revenues are improving, it's not because we've hiked the tax rates. All right, there are times when imported commodities like fuel go up, indirect taxation, the rates there, the excise and other things go up. But here we are talking about the direct taxation. Income taxes rate has not been changed at all. But efficiency has improved. You've made sure that evasions are plugged. and as a result of which you're able to generate an economy also is becoming more and more formalized. So as a result, you get a lot more people getting into this scheme of paying or being assessed for the taxation. Now, if I have not raised the tax, if government has not raised the tax, I'll again refer to one of the points which Honorable MO has mentioned. Prime Minister has been absolutely keen that technology is the answer for many problems that we face. And it was proved in the case of taxation, whether it's the GST Council or the CBDT, which was the first one to bring in the faceless, launched by the Honorable PM. It showed, in spite of the initial hesitation that all of us had, and I wouldn't say that the hesitation was only in the field formations, it was everywhere, saying, will it work? Will it, take off? Can this country adapt to faceless? After all, our assessees want to sit before the officers and say, look, please advise me how to go about it. Would they now feel completely cut off if they're put to faceless? All those hesitations, doubts, apprehensions are today completely removed. People realize it's a system which can work. Of course, they know it has got its own way. You'll have to sit and do it. You'll have to respond to it. You'll have to answer your emails. We've also brought in check filters unless it has a DIN, document information number. You're not going to be, which is centrally generated. You're not going to be sure whether that document is right or not. So if it has a DIN, yes, it is trustworthy. You reply to it. So system improvements using technology have all come in. And that is why I refer to the Prime Minister's statement that unless we get in technology, the 3 points which I said, transparency, objectivity, and being taxpayer friendly, will never be achieved. And we could show that in a matter of 2 years since after the introduction of faceless, you are able to be a lot more comfortable with executing your service through the use of technology, and as much making the tax assessee comfortable with a simplified system. And in that, the pre-filling of forms has come as a boon. It's not an exaggeration to say that. I've heard many assessees themselves tell me that the pre-filling has helped them. There are many people who are in transferable jobs, open an account in the place, probably keep a fixed deposit, forget all about it, and then you moved over to a different town, and now there's been at least 10 years since then, and suddenly it is the pre-fill which is telling them, oh my God, I've forgotten that fixed deposit which I started when I was in my first job. And then they claim, yes, it's mine, and therefore what assessment will have to be. So there are distinct advantages which have come about because of the introduction of technology. And in that, I'm not going to get into too much of a detail, but such changes, and not a change in the tax rate, such changes and not an increase in the tax rate has made tax assessee feel that he's better off filing, better off paying, because it's all now fairly transparent and simple. Pre-filling is one such a thing. Instant PAN is another. I remember in 2022, the Finance Act bringing the taxpayers' charter. It distinctly showed the commitment of the department to say, here's this is what we are going to work for. This is the charter which we will serve. And that's made a big impact in the minds of taxpayers, saying there is some code at least based on which they're going to serve me. Similarly, 2022 again saw the litigation management system which came into play. There wasn't going to be a system where litigation happens, there's somebody sitting and doing it today, some other person doing it the next day. At the end of the day, there's chaos, nobody is able to predict. That's not the case. There's a litigation management system through which all litigations are being handled. So there's a greater synchrony in the way in which all cases are being taken up. Even today, there are some discords. I'm sure the board is seized of it and they will take more action on it. 2021, 1 year prior to this launching of the charter, was the dispute resolution committee which was formed. And that has to a large extent brought confidence in the people that there is somebody sitting and sorting the disputes out, and so on. So when we came to 2023, the Finance Act again brought in some very important changes with which the confidence of the SSE increased. And in that, I'll certainly take at the top this step which we brought in, Section 43B of the Income Tax Act, particularly looking at the struggles small and medium businesses were undergoing each time, that they don't get their payments, but the person who received the goods or services, the company, is deriving the benefit of having paid when they haven't paid. So we made sure that the commitment of this government towards MSMEs is really realized by the MSMEs themselves, rather not just in words but in action. So the company which doesn't pay the MSME couldn't take the credit for it or offset it through that year, in which year he has not even paid the MSME. So that change has brought in a great change in the mindset of the MSMEs who normally think they're always receiving or they're at the rough end of the deal always. So that one change, I'm very clear in my mind, brought in a sea change in the way in which companies are now treating the dues to the MSMEs. And these were not information taken from privy areas. They declare it every September. It is put in the MCA website. And from there we know they owe the money. And after which, if they claim credit in that same year, it shall no longer be recognized or approved. Similar, again, Finance Act of 2023, relief has been provided to startups. Today, India, the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, actually revels in the success of the startups. The unicorns, the soonicorns are all now common parlance because of the way in which our young are showing their talents. And for them, what is it that we can do from the income tax? Again, setting off and carrying forward of losses, whereby eligible startups will be able to set off and carry forward their loss incurred during the first 10 years of incorporation. I think this, the previous time limit, I think, was 7 years. We have now made it into 10 years. As a result, eligibility period for tax deductions for startups incorporated before 1st April 2024 has been increased by 1 year. So these are changes which are making material difference to the entrepreneurs who are on the ground, who actually generate a lot of activity, jobs, and turnover, as a result of which, when they eventually come to pay the tax, it makes a difference to them. So not rate hike, but efficiency hike. Not rate hike, but making sure that we handhold those who need that help, that fiscal support, where it is important. Similarly, as a part of the socio-economic welfare measure, the threshold limit for TDS has been raised from 1 crore to 3 crore for recipients who are cooperative societies. We know, all of us do recognize, that it was Prime Minister Modi who created a new department for cooperatives. Honorable Home Minister heads that ministry. And for cooperatives in this country, as much as startups, that kind of support is what was missing all these years, and now we have provided that kind of a support. You see the cooperative movement moving leaps and bounds in terms of progress. I did mention that we've never changed the rate adversely because the whole approach is not adversarial. We are treating tax assessees as part of the wealth creators who provide, they may be salaried, but they provide the country the money which is so required for serving the people. For them, most of them belonging, at least the salaried, belonging to the middle class, it was very clearly in the new regime, we brought in a hike in tax-exempt salaries. It was 2.5, it was 5 lakh, it went up to 7 lakhs. And in fact, somewhere else when I was speaking on the 7 lakhs, I said, please do remember that the new regime, the second one, did not have a standard deduction. We brought it in this time. 50,000 standard deduction is also allowed now. And moreover, we didn't stop at 7 lakh. I've said this in so many words even earlier. We worked to see if that 1 additional rupee or 10 additional rupee after 7 lakh is going to be taken away in tax, and worked to such an extent that now 7 lakh, Sanjay, please correct me, 7 lakh 27,000, you don't pay any tax. So it's not 7 lakhs, it's 7 lakh 27,000 rupees, up to which you don't pay any tax if you were to be in the new regime. So there are such constant attempt to make tax and taxation a lot more people-friendly. Rates, people-friendly. Transparency, people-friendly. Technology, people-friendly. But yet, I would say, and I wish to elaborate on this a bit, because as always, the media friends are here. They are people who cover the economy. They have repeatedly heard all this. But today, on the 164th Income Tax Day, as we celebrate it, and as we speak about the way in which our revenue generation is going up, it will be through the media that we have to address the public to say what we have done critically for the benefit of the tax assessees. I remember distinctly in 2022, talking about why should an assessee have to keep his tax records intact for 10 long years, and in the 11th year, he still has a doubt whether he should maintain it or can he discard it. We brought that down to 6 years thanks to Prime Minister Modi. He said, "Kitne saal tak unka jeevan barbaad hona hai tax karke." We made it from 10 to 6 years. That was also done by Honorable Prime Minister and in this government. Now, no tax assessee is going to have to face a situation of reopening his assessment after 6th year. And even within the 6th year, that is after the 4th, 5th, and 6th year, they reopen the assessment only under certain situations. Non-filers, but having taxable income based on data which is with us. Filers, but evidences of understatement of income, again with evidence with us. So between the 4th year and 6th year, for only these category of people do we open up. And not to all again, only for those whose income is more than 50 lakh of rupees. This change was also made only about 2 to 3 years ago, 22, I think, if I remember correct, we brought it in saying it can't be that somebody has to sit with his tax records for full 10 years. So that change was brought out, and even there, it cannot be done randomly by somebody. A principal chief commissioner will have to give the permission to reopen. These changes were consciously brought in for the benefit of tax assessees. I wish to convey here, in such cases where they have been reopened after the 4th year or before the 6th year. This year we heard a lot of people saying, "Oh no, notices have come to all of us. What's happening? Why are so many notices being issued?" I just want to tell you that based on these two categories, where information is available, that more than what you have filed, there are reasons to believe that your income has been understated. Or where they are non-filers, information is that they should have been filers. Notices were sent. About 1 lakh notices, if I'm right, Chairman CBDT. And I understand and I want to convey this. These are not just being thoughtlessly sent. And I've been assured by the Chairman CBDT that by March 2024, this entire 1 lakh will be cleared, this way or that. So that set of notices which have been issued, based on the information that we have, for those whose incomes are more than 50 lakh, the notices and the treatment there, meaning assessment or whatever, will all be completed by March 2024. Post which, of course, every year, 4th and 6th year notices will continue. The process will be now rather more predictable than left saying, is it a fishing expedition? It is no longer a fishing expedition. There is also a need for me to say about a particular instance where cases which were reopened due to the decision of Supreme Court in the particular case referring to Ashish Agarwal cases. There would be about 55,000 such cases which were opened up as a result of that Supreme Court decision. These are only one-time cases. And I'm glad to say, just now I was double-checking with the chairman, that these have been completed by May 2023, this year. So the board today is not sitting over notices which have been issued and any level of discretion is being paid up or people are gaming the system. Doesn't happen anymore. And to that extent, on the 164th anniversary of the CBDT, I wish to congratulate them. It is not a place for discretion. It is not a place where people are gaming the system. There's a clear-cut approach. Following the Supreme Court order, 55,000 notices, they have been dealt with, and May 2023, they are finished. The business is over and done with. And for those notices which have come under the 2 categories, which will be the only 2 categories under which any case will be opened up in the future too, are only opened up after the 4th and between the 4th and the 6th year. 1 lakh notices which were sent will also be similarly closed by March 24. So I would want to assure the taxpayers, the assessees, that the CBDT and the field formations are conscious that they are working towards a transparent, responsible, objective, and taxpayer-friendly regime where very clearly the targets are before us. Now, looking forward towards 2047, when Honorable Prime Minister has set a goal for us that India shall be a developed country by that year, 2047. We are talking about Amrit Kal. We also now refer to Amrit Kal as Kartavya Kal. That's when all of us are going to be doing our duty. Not just the IRS tax assessees as well. It is very critical that India doesn't lose the momentum and that we grow to build up India which the current youth deserve, and the previous generations, all of us belonging to the earlier generations, can recall what kind of changes have happened in this country. Just in case of the numbers that was talked about when the former chairman of CBDT spoke, what was the collection then? What is the collection today? Even now, there are observers of Indian economy who say that there can be a widening of the tax net. Even today, the widening is an issue about which we are talking. What will work? Nudge will work. Campaigns will work. that if it is above board and assessments are done, that is why the TCS and the TDS are always talked about. They are not newer additional taxes. Just track and trace. And therefore, there is a need for all of us to look at Indian economy and see how best we can contribute towards building a developed India by 2047. It was interesting, I heard, and I must confess I didn't hear it fully because I was also engrossed in some talk with the chairman and with Subhashri. Mr. Talati speaking. It was interesting how he observed it, being a practicing chartered accountant. He said, tax assessments used to be, correct me if I followed you right, one here with you and one concentration on the dais. Investigative, they later became intelligent. They also became innovative, but I must confess I missed out on the fourth, whatever you said, inclusive. So the evolution of the tax administrators, the evolution of the approach of the tax assessees, are all now very obviously available. You hear a practicing chartered accountant say how things have moved from being investigative to become inclusive. Therefore, I still think there's good possibility that all of us can work towards get the tax net widened, make it friendly, keep relevant the 3 R's, but I leave you with one thought. It's always the perception which matters. The perception about ourselves on this 164th year, it wouldn't be at all late or it wouldn't be too early to tell ourselves, what is the perception about us? We are very efficient, we are tech savvy, we are very dedicated to our jobs. We have shown performance even as the economy is reviving post-COVID. People do recognize your faceless technology has really fitted in well. It has brought efficiency, it has brought transparency. But it is taking time for the perception also to change as much. Saying you're doing your professional job. Technology is something which you're good at using. And that's where the story should end. But even today, there is a lingering memory of a few who had used discretion. A few, I repeat, as a result of which the impression about the department, about the way in which it functions, that lingering memory is still there in a few SSCs. I wouldn't say in all. I would appeal to all of us, and I say us. I have not said you. I include myself in it. I appeal to all of us that on this day, particularly at a time when we are entering into Amritkal and at a time when we owe our children a developed India by 2047. We just have 25 years. Let us ask ourselves every time, if we are in doubt, how are we perceived? Maybe most favorably in difficult times, but just ask that question to introspect. We'll come back to our moorings, we'll come back to being stable, we'll come back to our dedicated selves. And similarly, one more question may help us. I say us again. How do we handle ourselves? Whether at the airport, whether it is the CBIC, or in your income tax office, or in the mails that you're using now extensively under the faceless. How do we handle ourselves? Because you're the face of the government when you're talking about the tax assessing. Just these two questions. And the Kartavya Path will be something which all of us will enjoy in building for our children a developed India. Thank you for listening to me patiently. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. We assure you that with your guidance and the unwavering support of our taxpayers, we will achieve new strides and forge ahead with determination and unity.
कार्यक्रम अब अपने अंतिम पड़ाव पर पहुंच चुका है।
I now request Member TPS Srimati Subhashri Anantkrishnan ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. Respected Union Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary. Revenue Secretary, Shri Sanjay Malhotra. Chairman CBDT, Shri Nitin Gupta, and all the very distinguished guests present here today. On behalf of the Central Board of Direct Taxes and on behalf of all the income tax officers across our country, it is my very proud privilege to extend my heartfelt thanks to each and everyone who has gathered here today to celebrate with us this, the 164th Income Tax Day today. Our heartfelt thanks to our Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. Ma'am, we are aware that you pack in a very tight schedule, and thank you for making the time for us despite that and despite the Parliament being in session. We are humbled by the appreciation that you have bestowed upon us for the efforts that we have made, and also we assure you that we will strive to continuously upgrade ourselves and to continuously reach the targets that you have set for us, that is transparency, objectivity, and being taxpayer friendly. We also assure you that we'll do our very best to address the various concerns that you have raised in your address to us. Our sincere thanks to the Union Minister of State for Finance, Shri Pankaj Chaudhary, for his gracious presence amidst us today. Thank you, sir, for the appreciation that you have given us on this day. Our thanks to our Secretary Revenue, Shri Sanjay Malhotra, who's always pleasant, even when he is nudging us to do better and better. We thank the other dignitaries who are with us today, Shri P.C. Modi, Secretary General Rajya Sabha, Director ED, Shri Sanjay Mishra, other distinguished guests who are present and who have made the time to be with us here today. Our grateful thanks to Shri Ravikant, former Chairman CBDT and very senior member of the IRS. We are grateful, sir, that you have accepted our invitation and are amongst us to share your very rich experience and memories. We are grateful also to our other speakers of the day, both from within the department and outside the department. Our thanks to Shri Aniket Talati, President, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Shri Mohit Sahni, CEO, Finova Capital, and Ms. Supriya Paul, CEO, Josh Talks, for sharing their experiences and their interactions.
ICICI Bank Kotak Bank